Hey guys, what's good? Hope everybody's doing well, and wanted to make a video about a topic that I alluded to in a previous video, specifically regarding this classic, the Rolex Datejust 41, the latest greatest edition, versus the Omega Aqua Terra 41. In my mind, really the two main contenders for everyday watch, everyday carry, when it comes to fine Swiss luxury watches. And I wanted to just kind of go over these two in detail and kind of compare and contrast them a little bit. First things first, always, let's set the time. And so let's see, based on the Omega, it looks like it is, let's see, 1905 on the 25th. So let's see how that works on the, please check out my video on this terrific watch. Love this watch, beautiful watch. So let's set the time on this Datejust. Screw down crown. So let's kick it into gear. You can hear the winding action, really good, very smooth. Cool, we're underway. So let's set the time first. And so we said it was 1905. So let's see, let's do that. So that's 18. So let's see here. We're going to keep going. Easy to set the time. The crown is a nice size. They've enlarged the size over the years on the Datejust crown, and I think that makes a big difference. That's noon. And that's 1800, and that's 1900. Looks like it's right around there. And man, let's see if we can synchronize it, and that'd be cool. So it's pretty close. Hang on, and go. Not bad, pretty close. All right, so we've got that done. So, but I need to set the date, and so of course it's a quick set date mechanism. So I just pull out the first position, and easy, no drama. It's the 25th. Crown screws down, okay. And let me take the Aqua Terra off, and then let's just start comparing them. Now, as you can see, the Datejust is on a bracelet and the Aqua Terra is on a strap. And, one difference between these two watches is that you get a lot more attachment options with the Aqua Terra. I did a video about a premium Omega NATO strap I bought. Really cool strap, $180, cool, but really cool strap. It comes on a bracelet, leather, and Omega lets you interchange it. So I think that's the first start. That's a big difference. Both of these are 41s. It's in the name, Datejust 41, Aqua Terra 41. Look at the crowns. Let's see the Aqua Terra first. Okay, you can see, like I said, it blossoms, for lack of a better word, and it's inset into the case ever so slightly. Whereas the Datejust crown is kind of just like more of a little cylinder there, but it's a good size, side by side, easy to grip, both signed, of course. So, thickness on these, I think they're both pretty equivalently thick. Rolex does a better job of sort of masking the thickness of the watch. But, the Aqua Terra is definitely a thick watch, and modern Omega movements are definitely thick. But, they have a lot of power reserve. They have a lot of anti-magnetic properties. And so that's probably due a lot to that. Certainly the case construction when it comes to Omega has improved. In holding them in hand, and admittedly, like I said, one is on a strap, the other one's on a bracelet. Just holding them in hand like this, the Datejust, the Rolex feels finer in both a good way and a not good way, meaning that it feels more intricately made. It feels more jewelry-like. But that can be a good and a bad thing. You know what I mean? Certainly the Aqua Terra feels more like a sport watch. Certainly legibility on both of these watches is excellent. I'm a fan of the Cyclops on the Datejust, but a lot of people aren't. I like the way that the Omega has the date integrated at 6, but you can see these are like obvious differences. And what's cool is I've got the black dial on each. Looking at them head to head like this, even though they're both 41s, you can see clearly the dial area on the Omega is larger. Because you have this beautiful, and I mean beautiful, fluted bezel made of white gold on the Datejust. just have the stainless steel bezel on the Omega. I don't think there's a fluted option for the Aqua Terra, although there are two-tone options. You know, the wrist feel, they feel a little bit different on the wrist. And a lot of that comes down to the jewelry-like nature of the Rolex in comparison to the more tool-like nature of the Omega. Now, admittedly, this is the most jewelry-like Datejust you could probably buy, at least in a black dial. It's got the white gold fluted bezel plus the terrific, and I mean terrific, Jubilee bracelet. So, you know, typical Rolex quality when it comes to the bracelets. I'm not going to talk about the Omega bracelet because I haven't experienced it on this generation. I've experienced previous generations on the Omega, and even without experiencing it, I can tell you definitively the Rolex bracelet is a lot better. I'm just so confident in Rolex's bracelet tech. But look at the finishing on the dial. Look at that. You get that beautiful horizontal grain to that dial. So there's a lot of interesting features there. Neither watch has a lot of writing either. You know, and on the Datejust, it's more of like a flat lacquer style dial. Both beautiful, both super legible. The hands are different also, a little thinner certainly on the Datejust and a lot thicker on the Omega. And like I said, it seems like Omega made a conscious effort to make the Aqua Terra a little more sporting. And that kind of makes sense based on the name of the watch. You know, Aqua, Sea, Terra, Land. And so it's kind of like a go anywhere, do anything watch. Certainly the Datejust is too, but maybe to not that extent of the Omega. And a good example of that is the Omega has 150 meters of water resistance, whereas the Datejust has merely 100 meters. More than enough for anybody, but you know, that is something to remember. Let me put these on the wrist real quick, and we'll talk about them a little bit more. Okay, put them down carefully. 1 second. Got the Aqua Terra on right now, and you know, I really like it. Like I said in my review of the watch, it's really easy to wear, painless to own. It's a great size, and that 41 millimeters, even though it sounds big, it's a very compact watch. It's not a watch that's hard to wear. You know what I mean? It's not too tall. It's not like some of those big Breitling watches, even though those are awesome too. It's like I said, it's a perfect go anywhere, do anything watch. And you can feel confident about it because it's 150 meters water resistant. It really does feel like a sport watch on the wrist. And I've said it multiple times, I'll say it again. If I were to recommend just one luxury non-Rolex Swiss watch for somebody to own, Omega Aqua Terra. You know, I mean, it's too good. It's perfect. I mean, they've done just too good a job with it, and it's all its iterations. It's been terrific. It's been around for about 20 years, a little bit more than, and ever since the beginning, I've been a big fan. One of my very initial videos about the watch. One of my very first videos was about an old Aqua Terra, 36 millimeter blue dial quartz version of the watch. Man, I still wish I had that watch because that still sells pretty well. I mean, there's still a premium for these Aqua Terras just because they're so well priced, and you don't lose a lot of money on them if you buy them on the secondary market. Not that resale is the primary concern whenever it comes to buying, selling watches. Well, certainly selling, but when buying or acquiring a watch, that's not the primary concern. But, you know, when you buy a luxury object, it certainly ought to be a consideration for you. It certainly is for me. So there you see the Aqua Terra. Easy to wear, it's cool, relaxed. Let's try the Rolex on now. Honestly, it's been a minute since I've worn this Datejust 41. I've had it for a long time, but I just, like I said, I got a lot of other watches in the rotation, so the Datejust, man, every time I pick this up, I just forget how good a watch this is. You know, it's thinner than the Aqua Terra, but it's not thin, I would say, because like as I alluded to before, Rolex does a good job of hiding the thickness of their watches. Like, look how thin the case is, but look how far underneath it. I don't know if you can see that right there, how far underneath the case back extends. So it's not exactly as thin as you think, but they do a good job of hiding this thickness. So it really feels thin. It very much feels jewelry-like on the wrist, and it just really drapes very, very, very well on this Jubilee bracelet. You know, I'm old school, man. Fluted bezel Jubilee bracelet, ride or die when it comes to these Datejust. But your mileage may vary. You know, certainly you can buy a more tool appearance Datejust with, you know, no fluted, like with just like a flat stainless steel bezel and an oyster bracelet. But man, I promise you, man, when you put this thing on your wrist, it's hard to believe that anybody would consciously go in that route after having tried both on, because this thing just fits too well on the wrist. I mean, it just fits well. It feels great. You know what I mean? It's easy to wear. And I really, 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 really enjoy this watch. I haven't worn it much, like I said, just because I've got so many other watches in the rotation lately. But you know, it's always waiting for me. I really appreciate it for everything it is. Mostly just like a timeless, always in style watch. You know, the price difference between these two watches, I think, is a big thing to consider. The Rolex, this Rolex is more than double the cost of this very competent, you know, equivalent in many ways, Aqua Terra from Omega. You know, is the Rolex twice as much watch as this, like I said, excellent and beautiful, really fun to wear, more sporty Aqua Terra? You know, that's something that you have to answer for yourself. It's hard for me to pick one watch between these two that is obviously better. I think they both do small things really, really well. There's like a superb attention to detail, you know, and I'm surprised at the Omega. You know, one thing I forgot to mention about this Aqua Terra, look, you get a see-through case back so you can see that caliber 8900 movement really well. This has, well, it doesn't have quick set date. It has quick set hour on the 41 millimeter version, not on the 38 millimeter version. That's a big difference when it comes to these watches. So on the 38, you just get the simpler kind of Rolex style quick set date movement. But on the 41, you get an upgraded quick set hour, kind of like a pseudo GMT functionality. So, you know, like I said, the Omega is a very compelling proposition. You know, the Rolex, is one of those things where it's really hard to compete. It's really hard to compete against just your standard operating issue 41 millimeter fluted Jubilee bracelet Datejust. It's just classic. It's always going to be in style. It hasn't substantively changed in decades. They tweak the case, they tweak the movement, they make the bracelet a little bit wider, they make the bracelet a little bit, you know, so they do those things, they tweak the clasps, but for all intents and purposes, the watch is largely unchanged since the 1950s, largely unchanged. You know, it's easy to wear. I would say comfort-wise, the Datejust is a more comfortable watch. You know, so the Aqua Terra comes in 38 and 41. The Datejust comes in 41 and 36. You know what I mean? So it has a smaller size version too if you're into it. I really think the 41s on both of these watches is the way to go. I think for the Omega, you get a better movement, a more interesting movement. I think for the Datejust, I think you get a more contemporary styled watch. I think you get a watch that is more, like I said, more appreciated. It's more visible. It's got more presence on the wrist. Not that that's the MO of this watch necessarily, but on some level, you know, if you're getting a fluted bezel certainly or a Jubilee dial, there's a certain appreciation for the jewelry-like finery of the watch. Anyway, I'm rambling, but I really did want to make this video about two watches that I own and I really like for very different reasons. On face, you know, they seem like the same watch twice. They're both black dials. They both have a date. They're both automatics. But whenever you actually own both, you know, whenever you get the chance to spend some real quality time with both watches, you really appreciate kind of how they're different. Overall, I would say the Omega is sporty. You know, it's really a more rough and tumble watch. You really get a feeling for that by the way the case is shaped, how compact and how tall it is. The Rolex is more jewelry-like. It's finer finishing. But both are excellent. You know, both are excellent. I think, you know, if you're someone like me, there's certainly a place in any collection for both of them. Okay, this video has gone on pretty long. I'm sure that's a lot more than y'all care to know about these two watches, but I thought it would be interesting for some of y'all. Guys, take care. God bless. I really appreciate all the support and look forward to making some more content for y'all real soon. Okay, but I hope you like this quick look at the Omega Aqua Terra 41 and the Rolex Datejust 41. More different than you may have thought. Guys, take care. God bless. Bye.